The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had.
Can you just respect my space? But it just comes from 4 years of people just taking advantage of my kindness. My wife said, Steve, you have to change. I said, why? She said, because I'm tired of looking like I'm married to a pimp.
Steve Harvey is the reason why Marjorie Harvey seems to be at her breaking point. There are rumors that she's considering dumping him. Their marriage is known to be rocky, and some speculate that Steve may have lately driven the last nail in the coffin. So why, after all these years, is Marjorie supposedly trying to get away from Steve Harvey? That's because he's finally shown his true colors and given up trying to be the good man. First off, Cat Williams recently made news for conducting a lengthy interview for Shannon Sharpe's Club podcast, Shay Shay. Steve Harvey was one of the elites revealed by Williams. Williams made a suggestion on the Steve Harvey show that Steve Harvey's portrayal of Mark Cooper was modeled off Mark Curry's in Hangin' with Mr. Tooper. Furthermore, he claimed that Harvey would always host sitcoms and family feuds since he will never be a famous movie actor. You ask them, why aren't you a movie star? Williams declared, I didn't want to be a movie star. This is the same finale that Bernie Mac despised for the same reason. Hollywood receives 30,000 new screenplay submissions annually. Not one of them requested a black man with the appearance of Mr. Potato Head who was a backwoods outlaw incapable of having a meaningful conversation. There isn't any. Range is crucial. Ed Lover, meantime, appears to support Cat Williams' allegations on Steve Harvey and his issues with Bernie Mac. Started on January 5, the popular DJ supported Williams' recent admission on the Club Shay Shay podcast on a recent episode of his Come On Son program. Williams continues the program by stating that once Bernie died, he was meant to become one of the comedy kings. But because of his attitude, Steve Harvey declined Bernie Mac's invitation to join the Kings of Comedy tour. He thinks highly of Bernie Mac. I was a friend of Bernie Mac's until the day he passed away, stated Ed Lover. As for Cat Williams' claims that Steve Harvey contacted to attempt to gain Bernie's position on Ocean's 11 and other things, Bernie informed me straight from the inside. Bernie concluded, I think Bernie Mac said Steve Harvey hated on him. Please allow me to explain his background. 20 years ago, while on a comedy tour known as the Original Kings of Comedy, Steve Harvey and 3 of his buddies solidified their spot in the Comedy Hall of Fame and became an international sensation. In addition to shattering box office records at the time, the show helped establish the foundation for comedy shows in the modern day. The other 3 performers, T.L. Flea, Cedric the Entertainer, and Bernie Mac, used material that concentrated on black, white, and equity and African American life in America. Every performer has their own style. Nevertheless, Harvey was thought to be the most polished performer of the day, which makes sense given how easy it was for him to make the switch to television. However, he engaged in the most heated debate with the crowd, focusing on specific members of the front row and criticizing their appearance, hair, and aspirations for the future. Conversely, Bernie Mac adopted a distinct approach. One might even argue that it was the most hard-edged, and some of his writing even went beyond comedy to explore the tragedies of daily life. But it appears that Steve Harvey was envious of Bernie Mac's strategy, and a lengthy dispute started as a result of that little incident. It looks like one of the band members recently disclosed this information. On the internet, it's receiving a lot of attention. There have been long-running rumors that the late Bernie Mac and Steve Harvey were at odds during the first Kings of Comedy tour. Other members, including Cedric the Entertainer, are currently answering similar accusations. The 2 comedians were at odds as confirmed by D.L. Flea, Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, and Cedric, who was on the tour. They were, after all, the same type of people, alpha men, they just had different perspectives, if you see what I mean. Nevertheless, as he stated on Shay Shay, Shannon Sharpe's podcast Club, they ultimately triumphed. But that wasn't the only thing that was at odds with them. In a 2003 interview with GQ magazine, Bernie Mac said that Harvey was attempting to cast him in specific roles out of jealousy for him. In response to Mac's charges, Steve stated in a 2010 interview that he had been upset by Mac's remarks. Nevertheless, Damon Williams is among many who supported Mac's assertions. It appears that Steve may have been successful in his attempt to kidnap Mac's shine with Mark Curry, even if it may not have been entirely successful. In case you were wondering, here is the joke to which Curry was alluding. Worse, Curry claimed that Steve had stolen his witty material twice. The comic acknowledged to the TMZ crew that he had spoken with Harvey about the matter before, but the joke stealing continued. The comic claims that Harvey shared his quips on Kids Say the Darndest Thing and the Steve program. Steve Harvey was my thing. Curry told TMZ staff that he had taken advantage of my content on both of his websites. You are the reason behind my financial setback. You've achieved success. You have a great deal of riches. Kindly cease using my belongings. Mark went into further detail. I approached him as soon as I noticed him and told him, "Baby, you are taking money out of my pocket by using my material. You are incredibly prosperous and comfortable. You don't have to take it from me, in my opinion." However, he utilized it for his second program, which was for children. In addition to all of this, Steve has been reported for intimidation by his coworkers. Following the popularity of his talk show and his significant transfer to Los Angeles, Harvey is said to have issued a startling note to his new team requesting items that are normally only given to tour guests. My dressing room is not available for meetings, drop-ins, or visits. Nobody. I would like you to wait to enter my dressing room before doing so. Please refrain from opening the door to my dressing room. In May 2017, Chicago writer Robert Feeder managed to get a message from Harvey that read, "If you open my door, expect to be removed." The message went on to warn that my security team would not permit anyone to stand at my door if they wanted to talk to me or see me. I also want the TV team to never longer be caught off guard. A time has to be set aside. Harvey told me he wanted to spend more time during the day by himself, asserting that the letter's objective was to lessen the permissiveness of the open-door policy. Permission was obtained when he was in Chicago for his concert. A few days later, today during the conversation about the leaked letter with Entertainment, he restated that position. I sit down in my makeup chair as they enter. They enter when I'm eating lunch. They don't knock. Friends of persons attending the show ambush me in the corridor, demanding that I sign documents and perform responsibilities. I think I could have handled things a little better when I said, "Wait a minute." Either way, it appears like Marjorie is on the verge of losing it due to Steve's bullying and his incessant crying and whining after the Cat Williams roast. There are rumors that suggest she could be considering ending her relationship with him. Even though she may not have spoken it out loud, her recent behavior seems to indicate as much. It was said in an article a few months back that Steve and Marjorie might not be enjoying their marriage to the fullest. According to the story, Marjorie Elaine Harvey was found having an adulterous affair by William Big Bone Freeman, her personal chef and bodyguard. Harvey has been awarded a Midday Emmy. Furthermore, it was found that she had purportedly filed for divorce and requested a $200 million settlement after those charges. Soon after the host's marital crisis became widely known on social media, fans flooded the newspaper's comment sections with their fury. Many were shocked to learn that someone like Steve, who they looked up to as a relationship expert, had been unfaithful. It is stated that the bodyguard she allegedly had an affair with is the same one who years prior suggested Marjorie to Steve. Even though Marjorie and Steve didn't get married until the mid-2000s, they had become acquainted years earlier while the comedian was doing stand-up in a Memphis, Tennessee bar. They talked about how they first connected on a 2018 episode of Steve Harvey's talk show, The Steve Harvey Program. He became very quiet, and because I was very late, I assumed he was going to give me the business. All he could do was look at me. Marjorie said to the crowd, "I thought I was going to become part of the show." And then, at last, it occurred to him, "Oh, I really should say something. Oh, I'm sorry," was his response. "Even if I don't know who she is, I will marry her." Despite their instant chemistry, they broke up a few weeks into their courtship. "Soon after we started dating, I sensed he was the one, but he kind of vanished," Marjorie said to Essence in 2014. Steve made it plain that he was currently focused on his career and wasn't in a good financial situation. He told the magazine that a man has to know his identity, his profession, and his income before he can be of any service to a woman. He and Marjorie reconnected in 2005, over a decade later, and the time was perfect. Following the dissolution of his second marriage to Mary Shackelford, Steve was living large thanks to his comedic success with The Steve Harvey Show. That, however, is not the whole tale of his union with Mary. Mary and Steve allegedly tied the knot in 1996. Throughout the more than 10 years that they were married, she quietly supported Steve while his career took off. Everything appeared to be proceeding as planned for a while. People were surprised to learn of their divorce in 2005. Steve stated that he and Mary were close friends following their divorce in an interview with Jet magazine. According to the TV personality, it was nothing explosive or concerning to anyone else involved or anything of the sort. I still think highly of her and we're still friends. Later on, though, it became known that other issues like an alleged extramarital affair had a role in their breakup. Mary accused him of having an affair with Marjorie Harvey, his current wife, during their marriage.